All right. So this is vlog 2 of trying to get monetized within 2 months. That's the lofty goal, but I expect it, if I were to actually keep up with it, it's gonna take, years. But that's the lofty goal that it happens sometimes for the most talented and algorithmic lucky people. So this is number 2, and I gotta make it to 15 minutes at least. So 15, 20 minutes is gonna help me get these viewer hours to get monetized. And right now I'm just feeding my son his breakfast. So he got some bananas and then some tofu. The tofu's technically post expired, but I think tofu, if you take care of it, you don't mix your saliva in it and keep it clean. It'd be good for past that date a little bit. So I tasted it and it seems good. So he's eating that. And then I'm eating my tofu, so I'm gonna get the soy sauce. And I'm not gonna give him soy sauce. I heard salt is not good for babies, so I'm gonna just give it to myself. And I'm right now on the fly thinking about what the topic's gonna be. And I've been thinking about what I'm gonna talk about. And I was thinking about how to create habits when you're in a slump. Or I could be talking about like what I'm doing at the moment, talking about how to feed a baby and how to feed myself and how to do like refrigerator management so you have like low food waste. Or maybe I can give some advice on how to get yourself fed when you're low income slash poverty, how to get the food keep on coming in to feed yourself and your family. Um, I guess I'll talk about building habits and see how long that lasts. So I think there's two types, there's two categories of building habits. There's two strategies. Um, so one strategy is based on when you're in high season in terms of your mood and emotions. So that's when you're gung ho about life and you're optimistic. That's schedule one. Schedule two is when you're in a slump, usually when you're cynical, pessimistic, depressed, hopeless. Maybe you're in a slump of being in a poor habit of eating junk food, a poor habit of common vices in America, such as different consumption vices. So that are legal, of course, but maybe you're in a slump in that case, whatever it may be. Um, so that's category number 2 when you're in a slump. And so I think category 1 is the one that like most self-help like blogs and most self-help books like really go into. But you're always not going to be in your high season, and you might not want to use your low season when you're like down and out, you're feeling really low in life, to just like go in hibernation and not do any work, not do any habit forming. So typically when you're in high season, the advice is like, hey, let's make a schedule and stick to it. You know what I'm saying? So like, for example, they'd be like, well, let's say use the example of somebody who doesn't have a job, right? So like, hey, you got to make a schedule, spend from 10 o'clock to 12 o'clock, do job applications from 12 o'clock to 1 o'clock, have a break, have some lunch, 1 o'clock to 2 o'clock, work out, and stick to that no matter what. And it's just like, well, if you're in a low season, when that alarm clock hits, you're gonna say no. When you're in a slow season, even the littlest relief of grief and sadness of jumping on YouTube, jumping on social media, jumping on streaming, instead of honoring your schedule of applying to jobs from 10 to 12, and in this example, is gonna get dismissed to indulge in leisurely activities and vices such as spending too much time on doing screen time. So when the slow season, when the motivation is low, the self-discipline is low, I have a system that doesn't miraculously take you out of the slow season. It works with your low mood of your slow season. And so the way that you do it is you do progressive increase in the amount of work that you do, and you do it in a way that feels like you're accomplishing something, but you're actually not. But it feels like it is at first, until it actually comes to like physical, real life benefits. So the first part is to increase your feeling of accomplishment without much real results, and the real results will come maybe like a month later. So you just live your life, and let's say you're in your slow season, and let's stick with if you don't have a job, and I think you can easily translate this to if you do have a job, but we'll just stick with if you don't have a job. Let's say your routine is wake up at 1 o'clock because you sleep in, drink an excessive amount of Red Bull and caffeine, watch things on the internet like YouTube and streaming and messaging people, just spending all day socializing and consuming media. And then you're hungry, then you go to McDonald's and you do vegetate in front of the phone and iPad for the rest of the day. And then you just do that every single day. So what you need to do is pick one thing and make that change in a way that's impossible to fail. So let's say the first thing that you want to do is you want to reduce the amount of caffeine that you drink. And the problem with me, and some of you might find this as well, is if you're waking up every day at 1 p.m., part of the reason is you're having energy drinks and coffee all day and you can't sleep. And so you fall asleep at 5 a.m. vegetating in front of the phone, and then you wake up at 1 p.m. And you, for myself and a lot of people, peak work hours, peak productivity happens in the morning and about noonish, and after that it just falls off. So you basically slept through your entire most productive time to do job applications, to do content creation, to do entrepreneurship of Airbnb, or entrepreneurship of making websites, or being a freelancer on what's that site like Skillshare, or whatever these websites where you sell services online, or whatever you want to do. You just slept through your entire productive work hours. So let's say you want to cut caffeine. You do it in a way that's impossible to fail. So let's say you drink energy drinks literally all day until like 9 o'clock at night. Energy drinks, energy drinks, energy drinks. You write down in your notes on your phone on a piece of paper 10 p.m. And 10 p.m. is the max amount of time that you're going to have energy drinks. And so you're going to hit that because you usually stop drinking energy drinks at 9 o'clock. So you're going to hit it for sure. And the next day you're going to feel good that like, today I hit my goal of not having energy drinks till 10. But one temptation to avoid is that, oh, I have 1 extra hour to drink energy drinks. Try not to do that. It won't for sure sabotage this schedule to get you into a good habit, but it might sabotage it or at least hinder it so it takes longer. But it's not the worst thing in the world. So try not to indulge in like, well, now I have an extra hour according to my usual track record to drink more. Don't. Just stop at 9 o'clock like you usually do, 9 p.m. And then the next day, you feel good. It's like, I made it. And then you make it 9:55. Now you scratch out the 10, and scratching out the 10 and putting a new goal is going to make you feel good. It's like the same thing as when you go to the gym and then you used to bench press 100 pounds and you scratch it off and you said, oh, I went to 102.5 pounds or 105 pounds. I forget, they're 2.5 on each side, right? Is the smallest plate. So it's going to feel good. And it was impossible to fail because you're already habituated to stop drinking energy drinks at 9 p.m. So you do it at 9:55. And then the next day you do it at 9:50. So according to this math, there's, 12 5-minute intervals in an hour? It's going to take you about a little bit less than 2 weeks to get to your normal energy drinking level, which is 9 p.m. So you do 5 minutes less, so you're at 9:55, 9:50 the next day, 9:45, and then finally you'll be at 9 o'clock. And you're still going to hit it. And by that time, you have 2 weeks of feeling good that you accomplished a goal. And your mind will rationalize that as success. And then this is the hard part, is actually cutting down your physical behavior to something less. So now you're going to do 8:55, but you're usually accustomed to drinking 9. But the past 12 days of hitting your goal has given you good mood, has given you optimism, has given you confidence. So you're going to be able to hit that 8:55. So you're going to be able to stop drinking energy drinks at 8:55, and you're going to be able to stop it at 8:50. You're going to be able to stop at 8:45, and you progressively do less and less. And according to this math, it takes every hour of reduction of caffeine is about a little bit less than a month, which is pretty good. So within 6 months, 6 months would be, I believe, like about over 12 hours reduction. So imagine you wanted to reduce from 9 o'clock minus 12. Now you're only drinking caffeine from 9 a.m. to less, right? And so within 6 months, you basically kick the habit of drinking energy drinks, okay? And so you have to play it by your own capabilities. And maybe after a couple of days of trying to cut down on energy drinks, you're also going to increase the amount of time that you exercise. So maybe every day you try to knock down your energy drink timing from 9 o'clock to 8:55 to 8:50. Eventually it's going to be 7 p.m. Eventually it's going to be 4 p.m. Eventually it's going to be 1 p.m. Right? But then also maybe that's too easy, and you can even double up and add another one where, hey, for 3 days out of the week, I'm going to exercise for 1 minute, just 1 minute. I'm going to stretch for a minute. I'm just going to stretch. I'm going to stretch for a minute. And then that's easy. It's like almost impossible to fail. And then you add another minute. I'm going to do it for 2 minutes for 3 days a week and 4 minutes. And the next thing you know, you'll be exercising for 20 minutes a day, 3 days a week. And that's a solid workout routine for ordinary sedentary people that would be far worse doing nothing. And that they're doing dramatically way more. Working out an hour a week separated in 3 days is a very big difference compared to doing zero and just eating junk food and being depressed, laying and watching your phone all day. And so that's the way that you get out of a slump. And I want to give you an important caveat, which is when you break your cycle. What do you do when you break your cycle? Because especially in your slow season, you're going to relapse. So to best explain that, let's say we'll do the caffeine example. Let's say you have a relapse of caffeine. You got yourself all the way down. You usually drink caffeine until 9 p.m. and you got all the way down to 7 p.m. And then one day though, your goal is 7 p.m. But then you're just not in a good mood, and you know that caffeine is gonna make you feel in a good mood, and the struggle is real. And then you're tempted to make yourself a cup of coffee or go to the convenience store and grab a Red Bull. You're tempted. And let's say you relapse and it's 8 o'clock and you have a Red Bull. What I've noticed for myself, and what you might find for yourself, the next day is going to be hard. It's going to be hard to go back to what you did before, which is 7 o'clock. It's hard. It's going to be hard to do that. It's going to be hard to bounce back. So what I do is give yourself 2 days to bounce back. See if you can get back to stopping energy drinks until by 7 o'clock. See if you give yourself 2 days. And if you find yourself repeating your relapse of going back to 8 o'clock, you have to think about it in a positive way and say, you know what, I'm going to set my tracker back to 8 o'clock and redo going down to 7 o'clock. And you have to think about it in a positive way. And you have to remind yourself. In this example, you know what, even though I'm going back to 8 o'clock and I have to self-discipline myself back to 7 p.m., I just spent approximately last over a month reducing my caffeine from 9 o'clock to 7 o'clock. And right now, I'm still ahead of the game because I'm reducing from 9 o'clock to 8 o'clock for even longer. So you got to think in terms of like total numbers and not focus on the moment of regressing, because overall, you've progressed. And for those that aren't convinced, if you do the math, if you work out the math, it works out. And an example, if you don't believe me, is it is far better mathematically and economically to save money sometimes, and then when you splurge, try not to feel guilty and remind yourself, remember all the times that you saved, and this one splurge overall doesn't wash away all the savings that I did, and I'm actually up in numbers overall. right? But you can really like detriment your goals by splurging too much. Like if you like save on like not eating out as often, and then you splurge on like buying a new car when you usually would have splurged by like buying yourself a piece of clothing, then yeah, you're overall in a net negative. But with my routine of keeping your mood optimistic and keeping your mood bright by doing goals that are easily achievable and having that kind of pragmatic, realistic, general scorecard, that when you do regress, as long as not you're excessively regressing all the time, and basically this program is not working for you, you're still up in terms of making progress, in terms of giving yourself more work hours by drinking less energy drinks and waking up earlier, and all the downstream benefits. So you can comment if you have questions. And so I'm at the 16-minute mark. Hopefully I'll be monetized in 2 months. Have a good day.